When a recruiter says, "This is our best offer," they are lying. It's a trained script. Today, I'm giving you the exact one-sentence response that forces them to escalate past their budget ceiling. But to understand why it works, you need to see exactly how Kevin just lost $6,500 in a 2-second pause. Kevin got the call on a Tuesday afternoon. He had prepared. He had a market rate in mind. He had a counter ready for every objection. Then Christine said 4 words and none of it mattered. The offer was $87,000. He had been hoping for $95,000. He took a breath and started to push back. Said he was excited about the role, that he had a competing interest, that he was looking for something closer to $94,000. Christine, the recruiter, paused for exactly 2 seconds. Then she said it. "Kevin, I want to be transparent with you. This is our best offer." Kevin said he understood. He thanked her. He accepted. 3 weeks later, he learned that Marcus, same role, same team, same start date, had negotiated to $93,500. Kevin had stopped at the exact moment the system needed him to stop. Recruiters don't own the salary band. HR and finance do. The recruiter is the interface, not the ceiling. Their explicit training module says, deliver the number, wait for hesitation, deploy the 4 words, and stay dead silent. The candidate hears ceiling. The recruiter is saying close. The distinction matters because those two things are not the same. A ceiling is a structural fact. It exists in the budget, in the compensation system, in the approval hierarchy. A close is a conversational move. It exists in the script, and a close can be reopened. A ceiling cannot. Most candidates treat the phrase as a ceiling. The system is designed for them to do exactly that, because acceptance at the first number is the most efficient outcome for the hiring process. Every dollar of flexibility that doesn't get used stays in the budget. The system is not designed to give you what it doesn't have to. The phrase isn't deceptive, it just needs to be believed. The recruiter isn't dishonest. Christine is simply uninformed. She has a number and a mandate to close. That is the full extent of her power. If you push back professionally, she doesn't lose. She escalates. That escalation was always possible. The phrase was designed to prevent you from requesting it. Kevin stopped before Christine ever had to escalate. He solved the problem for her. He said, "I understand," and closed the loop that should have stayed open. Christine thanked him. The band never moved. Kevin never made Christine send that message. Marcus did not stop. Marcus didn't argue. He didn't ask for more. He used a specific conversational pattern to remove the threat and force an automatic escalation. What he said triggered a message to the hiring manager within the hour. Here is what that escalation looks like inside the company. Christine opens a message to the hiring manager. Candidate is still weighing the offer, mentioned wanting to come back Thursday. The hiring manager checks 2 things. Does the role have discretionary budget remaining? And what does it cost to lose this candidate and restart the search? One conversation with the comp team, if needed. The math the hiring manager runs is not emotional. What does it cost to release flexibility on the offer? And what does it cost to lose this candidate, reopen the search, and wait 6 to 12 weeks to fill the role? In most cases, the second number is larger. The flexibility was never the problem. The question was never asked. Kevin never created the conditions to ask it. The conversation moved above Christine's level. The people who actually know the ceiling were now involved. The hiring manager had a decision to make: hold the offer or release some of the flexibility that had been sitting in the budget since the role was posted. The comp team had set a band. There is almost always a gap between the opening number and the top of that band. Kevin never asked the question that would have surfaced it. That is the only thing the lever requires. Get the conversation to the people who can answer the question. The recruiter cannot answer it. They were never meant to. Marcus came back on Thursday. He didn't ask for $93,500. He said, "I have done more research on the role in the market. I'm genuinely excited. Is there any flexibility in the base or in the signing component?" The framing is not accidental. "I have done more research" does not mention a competing offer. It does not threaten. It signals preparation and continued interest at the same time. The company hears a candidate who went away, did the work, and came back ready to close. That is the profile they want to hire. That is the profile that gets the escalation resolved in your favor. The word "or" is not accidental. It gives the company 2 exit ramps instead of 1. Companies move on signing bonuses when they cannot move on base. They operate from different ledgers. Base salary is subject to internal pay equity rules. If Marcus lands at $93,500 and his colleague in the same role makes $88,000, that gap becomes a problem the comp team has to manage for years. The signing bonus does not create that problem. It is a one-time payment. It disappears from the recurring cost structure the moment it clears. Companies use it precisely because it is the cleanest flexibility they have at the offer stage. The first review timeline works the same logic. Moving the standard 12-month review to 6 months costs the company nothing at signing. It commits them to a conversation, not to an outcome. But for Marcus, it means the next negotiation happens in 6 months, not 12. That is a second window Kevin will also miss. Marcus got $93,500. Christine came back with it the next morning. The answer was not always going to be yes. This time, it was available. Same role, same recruiter, same band that had been sitting there since the position opened. 2 outcomes from 1 conversational decision. Kevin accepted his number the same day he heard the phrase. At 3% annual raises, he never catches up. Year 1, the gap is $6,500. Year 4, the cumulative distance exceeds $26,000. Not from different performance, not from different output, from one phone call, from the moment Kevin heard the close and treated it as a ceiling. This is our best offer costs the average professional not one negotiation. It costs them every number that follows. Christine may also add a second close. We have other candidates at this stage. Same structure, different trigger, scarcity instead of finality. It has the same structural weakness. It requires you to believe it is true. The response runs the same logic. I understand. I want to make the right decision for both of us. I'll have my answer by Thursday. Specific date, no confrontation, no panic. Now that you know the phrase is a script, not a ceiling, here is the single shift that changes the outcome. The pause with purpose. Marcus used it. It triggered Christine's message within the hour. It moved the conversation above her level before she could close him. The exact pattern has 3 components. It removes the confrontation, it signals commitment, and it creates a specific deadline that forces the recruiter to act rather than wait. You do not argue. You do not counter immediately. You say exactly this. I appreciate you being direct. I want to make this work. Could you give me until specific day, 2 business days out, to come back to you? It acknowledges the phrase without accepting it as a ceiling. It signals you are serious about the role. It creates a specific timeline that professionals respect, and it forces the recruiter to escalate, or at minimum, to sit with uncertainty, which is the only environment in which movement becomes possible. 2 business days, not 3, not end of the week, not let me think about it. A named day, 2 business days out signals one thing. You have a decision process, and you are not stalling. A longer window reads as shopping. A vague window reads as hesitation. The specific date is what makes Christine move, not the pause itself. Marcus used Thursday. 1 word. That is the full length of the gap between Christine's opening number and the people who control the band. If the company comes back with no movement on base, your next line is there any flexibility in the signing component or in the first review timeline? You're not asking them to break the rules. You're asking them to use the second ledger they already have available. Most companies have both ledgers available. Most candidates never ask about either. They accept it on the first call. They thanked Christine. They moved on. They stopped at the same moment Kevin did. They heard the close, registered it as a ceiling, and thanked the recruiter for their transparency. The phrase works at a high rate not because it is true, but because most candidates have no framework to question it. They were never taught what the phrase actually is. Now you have been. The phrase, "This is our best offer," will not stop working. It works on Kevin every day. Recruiters are trained in it because it closes at a statistically high rate. It will keep closing negotiations that could have moved. For every Marcus who pauses, there are candidates who accept immediately. The system is built around that ratio. The only protection is knowing what the phrase is. It is a close, not a ceiling. Kevin knows that now. 3 weeks too late. The phrase worked exactly as designed. On him, not on Marcus. The candidates who never hear "this is our best offer" do not negotiate better. They walk in with a mechanism that makes the closing script obsolete before it can be delivered. It starts before the offer call, before the recruiter even has a number to anchor to. The video on screen right now breaks down exactly how.